Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we are here for Jackocar Season 3, Round 5 I think it is, for Silverstone. Yeah, we're going straight into our quality lap. If you're unaware of how the Jackocar system works, you have a slot in an 18-minute session and you get one lap to basically prove yourself. So we were out around 2:30 I think it was, somewhere, no 3:30, yeah, this was our one and only lap to try and get pole position. So yeah, I always seem to take my Jackocar laps with a bit of caution because obviously, as what I did last week at Singapore, it's so easy to just invalidate with it being strict corner cutting, and then you're from the back, you don't get another chance. So yeah, the lap time wasn't as quick as what I think I could do, but as you can see already, it says purple sector 1. I'm not really sure whether that was a Cody's glitch or not, but yeah, we're coming up to Cops now, and as you can see, when we go through Cops, normally flat out in qualifying, and we have to lift a bit because the car just really didn't feel that stable on low fuel. I think it was something to do with my roll bars being quite high, which I found out after the race. But yeah, going through Maggots and Beckett's as well, it was quite an unstable car. So yeah, it wasn't really the best run through Sector 2, but we've done a 101.213 so far. That says it was purple, and I think it was at the time. And the guy behind us, Khalifa, much faster than us. He went slightly faster, but in the end we just managed to get to pole position, as you can see here, going through the final two corners. It was a pretty solid lap, you know, we kept it within the limits, which is what I was aiming for, and we done a 1:24.201. And yeah, like I said, a solid lap, but as you can see we go on to the timings now, just under a tenth separating between first and third, so it was yeah, a very tight qualifying. And then to add on, the same as last season, if you've seen that video, we're on the Joker, which means unlike how you normally have to do a mandatory 2-stop, we only have to do a 1-stop in this race. You get one race a season where you can get away with doing one as your Joker, and this was mine. So it's like a 30-second, I think, there or thereabouts pit lane, so it's a massive advantage to have. There was 5 of the Jokers as well, so yeah, it was just trying to work out in these early stages who exactly they were, as we now go to the 5 lights. So we had a really long hold on the lights, and I wasn't actually expecting it, but we've managed to get away relatively cleanly. Khalifa straight up our inside, he had a much better run, same with Arnaud just behind, as we run a little bit wide at turn 1, but I try and make a move now into the loop section. It just doesn't pay off because Khalifa manages to hold it, and Arnaud, out of nowhere, manages to go around our outside, switches to the inside now for the Wellington straight, and obviously no DRS yet, so we were just sitting behind, just seeing if we can keep with these guys, because I was almost certain that these guys weren't on a Joker. So I knew that I probably had a good 30 seconds on them anyway. So like my plan at this point was, okay, I've lost the lead, but if I can just stay with them, stay in their DRS, and like help me pull away from Camke and Janel behind, who were 2 very fast drivers, in the long run that was going to help me out a lot more than trying to send one down the inside of Arnaud. Because ultimately we'd just let Khalifa run away and we'd have a big traffic jam behind us. But already you can see behind, we've got 8 attempts on Janel, who I think made a move on Camke into Cops, which is very brave on the first lap. And you see now Arnaud makes a little bit of a mistake, and I thought maybe I might be able to get past there, but ultimately you got down to the end of the hanger straight into Stowe, and it just weren't enough. So I still just sat behind. I was just watching what was going on behind with Janel and now Brandon. And the gap behind as well to Janel and Brandon was getting like bigger as the laps went on in this first stint. I was expecting Janel, who's a very fast driver. He was in the lead for Singapore last week, but I think he bottled it. Oh yeah, he bottled it and took me out in the process. But yeah, he was a really quick driver. I was saying to him after the race, I was expecting him to put a much bigger charge on, but I didn't really want to battle him either. So I was just trying to stick with Arnaud, like I said, and just let him pull me away from Janel. Try and make a gap, try and get out of that DRS for the next lap, because if he was in it, it was probably going to be curtains. You see now we move on to lap 5, so we're already past where the DRS window opens, and already now Arnaud and Khalifa had the pace on me. Arnaud obviously getting that DRS off Khalifa now. And we were expecting some pit stops, the 2-stoppers to come in around now. They're most likely doing a soft, medium in some sort of order. But like I said, behind, using that DRS in the early laps, it managed to get me a gap behind to Janel, which was very useful. As you can see now, the leader, who was Khalifa, has gone in to make his first stop. So we were looking for a pit stop around lap 9. so we had a bit longer to go on this stint. So we were expecting now Arnaud to come in this lap, lap 6, to cover off Khalifa's undercut, and hopefully down the line they can battle a bit more, so I can gain a bit of time on them. Although I'm only doing the one, with safety cars and stuff like that, because you're not allowed to pit under a safety car. It could have still screwed me over. So I did still want to keep with Arnaud, but he was pulling away massively at this point with the fastest lap as well. As we now go on to the end of lap 6, and like I expected, Arnaud's now going to pull it into the pits, which allows us to take the lead for the first time this season. It's took a while, but we've managed to get those laps laid in at some point. And we also pick up the stage point, which was on the end of this lap, going on to lap 7. So that's a playoff point in the bag there, nice and easy. Janel also behind went into the pit. So we've got a bit of a gap now. We're just, again, still trying to work out who's on that Joker. I was sort of looking now at like Brandon, Iceman and TC, because they were going quite long on the softs, which was going to be ultimately the same strategy as what I was doing. As you can see, we've got Jamie and P3 on the mediums. It still wasn't really clear what he was doing, because obviously we're going to be going longer on the mediums, so he could do 2 soft stints later on in the race. He did a alternate strat, started on the mediums, which is quite a common thing for him to do, and it seems to always work out. If I try it, it never does. So yeah, I'd like some tips on that at some point, Jamie, if you don't mind. So yeah, we've now took that lead that we were going to ultimately get anyway if the safety cars sort of stayed out of the way, which they did. We were obviously net P1 with that one pit stop. You see Jordan retired. It was in the pit lane, which was lucky for us, because if not, it could have been a safety car or a VSC or something, which could have really screwed us over here, as it would have allowed those 2 stoppers who have already made their stops to catch up with us Jokers, and it would have basically ruined our race, because they would have been a lot closer. And then in the case of Arnaud and Khalifa, who are obviously the guys that are ahead of us, they would have definitely put a charge on when we were on older tyres. And yeah, it wouldn't have really helped us. But luckily so far, we didn't have a safety car, but we did pick up a virtual safety car. I'm not too sure what it was. I think it was Jordan's AI car pulled it out of the pit lane and retired in the loop section. The AI for some reason doing that. But I was already past the pit lane at this point. I don't think I would have made my stop anyway. I think it was too early. I didn't want to be doing any more laps on the mediums. So I probably lost a little bit of time to some of the guys that did pit, but I still didn't know who was on that Joker and who wasn't. So it was hard to say if you lost time or gained time in a virtual safety car like that when you didn't know who was on a 2 and who was on a 1. But we go on to lap 9 now. This is when our pit window is. As you can see now, we've still got Iceman and TC out with us. So they are 100% on that Joker. I'm pretty sure they actually go a little bit further. Obviously, Jamie and Risky and P5 will definitely go further. They're on the medium tyres. So yeah, Iceman and TC stay out. So that's pretty much confirmed that those 2 are on Jokers for us. So that's 3. We just need to find the other 3 now as we pull into the pit lane. Such a long pit lane here. And as you can see as well now, just coming up onto the screen, Khalifa has a drive-through penalty, which I think was off the virtual safety car. It said he sped. I'm not sure whether he actually did or whether it was just another Cody's glitch. But he's in the pits now behind us, serving that drive-through. So he's basically made 2 runs through the pits more than what I will be. So it was a massive gain on him. So I think at this point that basically took him out of contention. As we come out of the pit lane, side by side with Corey, he manages to just get us around the outside. And I knew I had to get past him quite quickly because I had pressure from Brandon behind, Janel not far behind him. We get the DRS on Corey somehow. I'm not really sure how. I thought I was ahead in the detection point. But either way, yeah, we're going up the one into the straight. We have a look up the inside, but it just wasn't going to work. You need to be really committed side by side to actually get the move done there. So I backed out pretty late there. And we're now setting up for a run for the hanger straight, the DRS, and try and get it into Stowe. But yeah, we were losing a lot of time behind Corey here. Obviously, he's on older tyres. And I felt like I had a bit of pace over him, maybe. I don't know. He's managed to stick with us once we did get past. So maybe we were just about equal. But either way, I wanted to get past because this was essentially ruining my tyres, sitting in the dirty air of a car. And I've got to try and take this set right the way to the end now, 16 laps to the end. We're going to go around the outside of Corey, up the hanger straight, using quite a lot of overtake there, but I think it was worth it, just getting past, and now we can run in that clean air. We've got Arnaud 6.6 seconds up ahead. He's still got a stop to make, whereas we don't, but it would be nice to try and get as close as possible and get past him on the DRS. As you can see now, TC and Risky both pit. I think Iceman also went in. So yeah, those guys now onto the mediums. I think Risky went onto softs. So TC and Iceman are quite close to us now. I suppose they're like net second and thirds, I guess it would be. It's really confusing to try and work out like where the Jokers fall in, but from the Jokers that I knew so far, they would have been second and third. I did think at one point Corey was it, but I think he took his in Australia, so that sort of eliminated that. He's managed to stick with us, so we're just basically at this point pulling him along. He can save a bit of ERS, which will help him later on in the race, and that was sort of what I was aiming to do. Not really battle with him. You see, we move on a bit further, and he's still just behind. So yeah, I was sort of hoping that he would sit behind, save a bit of fuel, save a bit of ERS, and allow us to sort of get on with our separate races, because we were both on completely different strategies. I didn't have to make a stop and he did. So yeah, it was sort of working for both of us. The little follow here, as he now going up to Stowe though, does try and make a move. I completely run out of ERS, so I don't blame him. We managed to hold it around the outside, which seems to be really useful. Stowe just sitting on that outside line, and we just about managed to hold it there. He's going to be close now though, going into the loop section. You see Jamie pits onto the softs, so he's got 11 laps to do on them softs. So again, I didn't know whether he was going to make it, but the likelihood was that he is going to make it. So then that is another Joker driver that we know we've got to try and beat. With him being on the softs, it's going to be really close towards the end. So I knew I had to sort of push, get away from him, and hopefully he gets held up in traffic somewhere along the line, gaining to me. So we now move up to the end of lap 15. We can see Corey behind going in to take his second stop. Same with Arnaud. So we've managed to take that lead back. And we can now see as well in the top left, Jamie is 5.5 seconds behind. He's still got Janel ahead of him on older mediums, but I think he manages to get past him quite quickly. And we now go on to lap 22. And he's only 1 second off with 3 laps to go, so it was going to be really close. And again, now you can see how the Jokers have worked out. At the minute, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Jokers. So yeah, Silverstone, same as last season, is a really strong track to take it. It's definitely going to get abused next season. So yeah, we've got a second behind to Jamie. I was really just sort of concerned about my fuel in the RS going on to these final few laps. As you can see, a few laps later, lap 25, he's 5/10ths off. As we go on to the final lap, we're going to stay on board for the whole of the final lap. We have a massive slide there coming out of the chicane. Yeah, so we've got 5/10ths behind, 6/10ths behind, and I was just seeing if I could burn a bit of ERS and try and get him out of this DRS detection point, which comes up near enough now into the braking zone, the little white line before the loop section. Yeah, it didn't work, so we tried to just save a bit of fuel, get that ERS back, and now burn it all the way down the Wellington straight. I don't think he was really trying to make a move here. It's not really somewhere where you'd expect to make a last lap move for the lead. I think he was more setting up for the Hanger straight going into Stowe, because there's no real chance of me getting back past them. There's not enough corners, not enough straights for me to gain any time on him. So yeah, we come up to Cops now for the final time. I realise I have literally no fuel. I think that's plus 0.3, so we have next to no fuel at all, and we've got to try and use as much as we can down the Hanger straight, and we have 0 ERS as well. So I was just going to save a bit. We actually get a track limit one in there, which I think was our first, possibly our second. But you see behind in the mirror there, Jamie had a massive slide. He got on the grass, but he's still going to get right up close. We've got no ERS. We've got next to no fuel, and he tries to have a look into Stowe, runs wide, and he manages to pick up a 3-second time penalty. So I knew at this point there was no real way of him getting past. We come through the final few corners, checkered flag is out, and we somehow managed to hold on for a win here in Silverstone. So yeah, that now manages to promote us straight into the playoffs, along with Khalifa and Paul, who are already there. And it also helps us get up to the top of the team standings with a piece to course now P1. So we're going to try and see if we can hold it, see what we can do next week at Britain Short. Hopefully I'll make a highlights video, unless I crash, but there's not really many highlights.